It is illegal to sell over-the-counter fat burners inside the United States. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And this is one of these topics that people seem to be legitimately unaware of. But when you understand this, you understand how ridiculous and insidious and how much of a scam the supplement industry is. And again, when you understand that, people say, well, how could they? Maybe they mean well. They can't. Because if any company looks and says, hey, we want to make a fat burner and sell it, they already know they can't actually do that. So we need to be clear. So anyone by default who decides to go into this business realizes, well, I only have two choices. Either I can go to prison and get fined, okay? I can do that, or I can just make a scam product that doesn't work if I want to go into this business. So it is by default a business model. Anyone who actually physically goes into business for this sort of thing knows that they're a scam artist, right? They know that they are either a scam artist or they're going to put something illegal into a product. There is no other option. And so again, what the existing laws that exist automatically ensure that it's an industry that draws in con artists. It's the default position. And keep in mind, they lobby to get a lot of these laws put into place. So when you look at this with the supplement industry, put that in perspective, number one. Number two, keep in mind the supplement industry doesn't have to do any safety testing because they're allowed to put out all these products with these ridiculous claims and everything else. And because they can't actually make stuff that even works to begin with, they're not actually required to go through safety testing, and a lot of people are not aware of that. That's almost its own separate topic. So think about that when you're buying these products, because it would make them prohibitively expensive. They do not have to go through any of this stuff for the FDA. Your food at the grocery store is required to have more standards and safety testing than supplements are. Okay, everything you buy at the grocery store, even the stuff that's bad for you. So keep that in mind with this position. But let's come over and let's talk about this from the fat burning thing. The fact that burning fat is a drug-like effect is kind of a big deal. It's a very, very big deal. And keep in mind, there's a lot of lobbying and money involved in all of this. So the first example we saw of this, okay, was when I was much younger. This was 20 years ago, ephedra. Okay, this was when ephedra was over the counter. And it was actually a legitimately good fat burner. It was an herbal fat burner, and in fact, some of the research back then showed that it was stronger than the drug. So the over-the-counter ephedra actually was more pronounced in its fat burning effects than even ephedrine HCl, the actual pharmaceutical type extract. Okay, so it was extremely effective. A wide-scale study came out showing that it was reasonably safe. Okay, independent study, but it showed that it had very pronounced measurable shifts in metabolism and fat burning. It was something like a 6% increase in metabolic rate of the test subjects. Again, university did this. This was independent testing. They did all of this, but then there was also some cases, some media highlighted cases where a couple people, like high school athletes and things, had overdosed on it and got hurt or died, but they overdosed. Keep in mind, it was a case of literally overdosing on the product. Okay, and I think it was something to where some high school football player had taken 10 or 20 times the dose on the bottle before a football game, and then in the middle of the game he collapsed, unfortunately. By again not following the label, also being a minor. This was factored in, but the thing is, 6 months after that study came out, Congress outlawed it. They outlawed it outright. Now, as a lot of people noted at the time, there was pressure from the pharmaceutical industry, big pharma, to do this. Okay? There was pressure because they also have fat burners, but they give prescription fat burners. I mean, look at stuff right now like Ozempic, the big one. These things work. And back then they were messing with stuff like fen and other things. They were actually making pharmaceutical grade things and then having prescriptions. And then, so they were making big money. Well, this was a big problem because at the time, some of the best fat burners that they had that were prescription, the ephedra outperformed them as an over-the-counter herbal supplement. You bet your bottom dollar they pushed and lobbied and said, we cannot have this. And it was from that moment forward, the FDA and the laws and everything got tighter on drug-like effects on supplements. And it was from that moment forward, they made it very, very clear, if your supplements produce drug-like effects, meaning measurable changes in muscle growth, anabolic effect, okay? If they produce fat-burning effects that are even remotely close to anything that's a prescription, even in the ballpark of it, we will shut you down. They made it very clear. They sent a clear message. Okay? So, and this happened like 20 plus years. This was over 20 years ago. All right? So, since that day, there are no fat burners over the counter that work. They cannot do it. The companies cannot do it. Now, again, people jump in and say, well, this is a case of government interfering. Well, maybe it's an interference for your safety. There is that argument. And I'm not saying, hey, we need big government and lots of restrictions. I am not saying that. Let me be clear. But in some cases, this particular case, there may be your safety to consider, because if you're going to take something that has potent fat-burning effects, you probably should be consulting a doctor. Just something to consider. So I'll play devil's advocate there. I don't think that that's an unreasonable position. But the point to be clear here is, it has been made very clear since then, supplements cannot work. They cannot produce robust effects beyond some basic minor health benefits, like for dealing with deficiencies and things. They cannot do that. If they do, they will be shut down. So that therefore means, because anyone who goes into the business knows what the laws are. They know what the rules are. They know what they can and can't get away from. So the companies and the CEOs and the people on the board and the development teams all know they have to sell scam products. So therefore, they know that they are in a scam industry because the laws require it. And then people say, well, that's not fair. Well, no, it's fair. And if everyone knew that, then they would just be out of business. Since they're not allowed to sell products that work, just quit buying stuff from them. And let these same people go into honest businesses. Very straightforward. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.